Well, hey, friends, welcome to the Simplified Church podcast. So excited to have you here. And I'm looking at this amazing co-host. The guy, he's a rock star. He's a stud among men, the one and only, the Greg Braswell. The Greg Braswell. I think it's important to emphasize.
It's true.
I just think you're a stud, dude. And so I'm excited for us to be together. It's another week, another episode. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I always struggle with the place to put or how to say the article in sentences. Is it the or the?
That's a struggle for you.
So when referencing an individual, I do always appreciate when it is the.
Yeah, I think if you say the Greg, you sound like a hillbilly. Like you haven't gone to school. Like, no, we don't do that. It's the.
You're talking about my people. You're talking about my people.
Where are you from exactly again? Just to help us clarify, just so we can find where that distinct twang comes from.
I'll never tell.
Never tell. Yeah. It's somewhere where family trees
don't
have a lot of forks. Anyway, don't cancel us. It's just a joke, people. Anyway.
Council culture.
That's right. No, it has to be because when you're talking about someone such as yourself, such a refined, talented, articulate, well-educated, just superstar of a worship admin pastor, you have to go with a distinguished title like the. You can't say the. That's not kosher.
Yeah, I mean, I've been waiting for, bringing back the title, the Right Reverend.
Right Reverend Greg Braswell. Yes. That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. Whew, okay.
So far it hasn't taken root, but
hashtag the Right Reverend. Well, I don't know, man. Maybe we'll get you a nameplate order for your birthday or something. Get it outside the office door. Anyway, the wheels came off this thing pretty quick already. We're 2 minutes in. So should we start the show now? Let's just start the show now.
Let's do it now.
Yeah, let's start recording. Hey, friends, welcome. Anyway, no, in all seriousness, we're pumped to have you guys being a part of the show. Listen, what we do here is we believe in so very much. We believe in resourcing pastors, everyday leaders, volunteers such as yourself. And what's kind of cool, Greg, is we've got folks listening to this show that aren't in full-time ministry, that aren't serving on a regular basis, but folks that just resonate with the content that we do. They connect to it. It just, I don't know, man, the Lord's using it. And so we're so thankful for that. And we're thankful to have this opportunity to connect with you. And of course, we'd love to connect with you more. And so here in just a bit, Greg will tell you how you can do that, where you can connect with us and how you can find more information. But just don't forget that the Simplified Church podcast is brought to you by simplifiedchurch.com, where, man, we are all about helping you outsource the overwhelm, taking care of your church bookkeeping and financial needs. And obviously we care about the pastor holistically, not just this stress in your life, because that's why we offer things like this podcast, resources, free ebooks, things like that, because we just want to put tools in your hand to make ministry easier so you can just focus on your calling and not on this stuff that just like absolutely drains the life out of you.
That's right.
But we'd love to connect with you. Love to spend some time. Greg, how could a friend, a right reverend, if you would, how could someone connect with us and help just build that relationship a little bit?
Absolutely. So there are lots of ways that you can do that. You can like us on Facebook. Yes. Simplified Church has a Facebook page. We'd love to connect with you there. You can connect with us at simplifiedchurch.com/podcast. And you can find all kinds of information there about the show, as well as some of the resources that we talk about as we put on the show. But then also you can always email us at podcast@simplifiedchurch.com. So however you choose to connect with us, we'd love to hear about it. And then, of course, as always, make sure that if you haven't already, that you hit that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts, so that you can connect with us and get every new episode directly to your device. But then also, if you do us a favor and rate and review the show, so that we can get out in front of those algorithms and be able to connect with more listeners along the way, we would surely appreciate it. And so please do take some time this week and do that for us if you would.
Did you ever think that we would be regularly using the word algorithm outside of like 11th grade math? Like,
No.
who would have thought where like this is such a normal word now? Like, oh man, all these dumb algorithms, like, oh, it's just the way Facebook does their algorithm. Like, that's crazy that we use this word now so regular, so freely.
Yep.
When you were in high school, it's like, oh, we're going to talk algorithms. And you're like, oh, I'm going to go outside and hit my head into something because that just sounds terrible, But I did want to share with you, we did get an email recently come through, and they just said that that I'm their favorite host, and that they really love me, and they like when I talk a bunch. So I don't want to share who it was. It was anonymous. So but I just wanted you to, it was my wife. My wife sent it in. So
well, that's fair. I mean, I was going to tell you what we do with anonymous letters at church, but since
yeah, you got a special place for those?
I do.
Oh, right there it is. That's a lovely receptacle. Trash
it
receptacle.
Is. Yeah. I told my secretary long ago, if people don't sign it, I don't need to read it.
That's right.
It's not worth it. So to all of you church folks who want people to take you seriously and to hear your concerns and your suggestions, sign them.
Just sign them. And also, I think the moral of the story here is that Greg's so bougie, he has a secretary. So wow, man.
Big church problems, bro.
That's right. That's right. The right reverend level achieved, unlocked. 10,000 points. All right, gang. We're going to jump into the show today because today's kind of a fun episode. If you go back and look at our previous episodes, we've got just a treasure trove. We've got a catalog of great content to help you deal with and wrestle with a lot of problems that are very just commonplace in the life of everyday pastors. But on occasion, we like to put together an episode where we're just talking resources. That's one of my favorite things to do. I don't know about you, bro, but like when I would go to conferences or go to these kind of big networking events, and you had a chance to like, hey, what resources are you using? Oh, dude, I got this app I'm using, or I just came across this really cool book or this cool website. And I love that. I love the ability to kind of exchange from these resources. And, to me, that kind of stuff, it can be very life-changing because you come across something and you're like, man, this is super helpful. So we got a couple categories we're going to work through today or over the next, 20, 25 minutes or so. So hang with us. And, we'll put these resources in the show notes so you can go back and find them. So you don't have to like try to write these things down while you're driving and wreck your car. That wouldn't be a problem for Greg. Greg has a personal driver, so you'll never have to worry about that, Greg, like the common folk. So I'm actually, I've heard that Greg is going to be chartering a horse and buggy coming up. Just a man to drive you about town.
Hey, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Horse and buggy. Could you imagine that board meeting with your elders? That expense? What, $1,600 for a horse and buggy? Yeah.
Who signed off on the footman?
Amish don't work cheap, man. Okay, we're going to jump into our first category, depending on where you're from. Let's talk about time management. Time management is super difficult in the life of a pastor. And I know, Greg, you're a list guy, and lists are really helpful for you in time management. I'm let's let everything pile up at the very last minute. And then I throw a production grenade and it explodes and things magically get done. So I'm sure that there is somebody listening to the show that they resonate with one of us. But I want to talk about a couple of resources to help you manage your time a little bit better, be a little more effective. One of those resources is a resource called RescueTime, which is really, really cool. The vast majority of people that especially live in the United States spend a ton of time on their phones, computers, tablets, all that kind of stuff, right? And that's not like a judgment. It's just an observation. And we talked about this in a previous episode about how many times we're on our phone, how many times you pick it up, like your screen time. And so RescueTime is super cool because it shows you how you spend your time online. And it'll check your computer, it'll look at your mobile device, and it'll let you know where you're spending your time. And then it kind of gives you this really cool, like accurate picture of where you spend the most amount of your time so that you can begin to adjust some of those digital habits. Greg, for you, what is like, do you have digital habits? Are you a grab your phone first thing in the morning kind of guy? Are you when I'm trying to like decompress between meetings, or you're kind of, just scrolling? What's that look like for you?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes, I am first thing in the morning
Yeah.
guy. I wish that I wasn't. I don't know why, but just like I've always been that way, that, get up and check emails, check messages, jump onto social media, see did the world burn down overnight, and then
Yeah.
go about my day. But I wish that that I was better about it, and that wasn't my just default pattern. But I'm also a little terrified. Like, I don't know that I have the courage to have an app like that on my
Yeah.
phone, because I don't know that I want to know
Yeah.
what
Like,
it might tell me.
well, like iPhones will to some degree tell you like where you're spending, like, in very like broad terms, but this gets very specific, and it would be kind of terrifying. It's like you've spent, like, especially if they could like somehow figure out like how many days of your life you've spent surfing like Facebook and social media apps and stuff. But it's so easy nowadays, dude, to just get on your phone, like you said, like, and man, when I was look, computers, internet wasn't around when I was a kid, because I'm an OG, but like when I got to high school and computers came out and America Online came out, and you had that sweet sound of your 56K and just praying that no one calls your mom, so that like she doesn't pick it up. Hello? Oh gosh, there's 3 hours I'll never get back of trying to just get on the internet. But nowadays it's so easy, and so a cool app like RescueTime is really cool to help you reshape and rethink about some of your kind of digital habits, and to kind of continue that line. If you want to, okay, so if you're like me and you're like, man, I get in a scrolling black hole, and you're like, I get so distracted, like I'm checking sports scores, or I don't know, whatever it is, you're just kind of trolling the internet, you're looking for different statistics and kind of goofy stuff that I like to look up on the internet. There's an app that will help you, called SelfControl. Literally called SelfControl. It allows you to disable access to select websites and to deny your access to everything for a set period of time. So you're like, I can't stop myself. I fall into these traps. And maybe this might work for you, Greg. So you just like, you shut her down, man. So like in the morning, you can't even do it. Now here's what's here's what's crazy about this. If you're really trying to break a digital habit, or you're like, you really need to focus and you cannot fall into these temptations and be distracted, self-control, like it'll disable access to everything. But what's interesting is it will not like unlock that access until that set period of time. Even if you delete it, or if you try to turn it off, it won't. So like it's like the nuclear option of self-control, because it's like like that whole idea of like you're at a party and you're trying to lose weight, and there's just a massive amount of cake, and you say to like somebody, you're like, hey, whatever I do, don't let me eat this cake, and then they bring out your favorite dessert, and you're walking over to it, and that person's like, hey, you shouldn't eat that, and you're like, no, it's fine, like I'm totally okay. This is one of those things where
Today's my cheat day.
Yeah, today's my cheat day, I'm fine, forget what I said 15 minutes ago. I must eat this. So this, like, no matter what you do, if you say, I can't have any access to these resources for the next 25-30 minutes, it will not let you have access to it. What are your thoughts on this, Greg? Is this overkill for something like this? Is this, I mean, this obviously isn't something for you, probably, because you're very, very disciplined. I mean, you're a specimen of human perfection. So is this something that would be a struggle for you?
I don't know that I could see where it at times could be valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would like want to set it where it's that way every day at a specific time, but I could see, kind of like sticking a note on the office door of saying, hey, I'm in the middle of something and I cannot be interrupted for the next 45 minutes.
Sure.
I could see that potentially being really helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll be interested to see kind of what the control features are, to know how can you set it up. Does it have to be a daily thing, or can you just get in and say, yeah, for 25 minutes, I need no distraction so that I can do this.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Do you remember the old video, Terry Tate, Office Linebacker? If
Yes.
you've not, that's so great. It's such an old school video, but I'm just imagining you having that outside your office. Just Terry Tate's out there. Yeah, just tackling deacons as they're trying to come in and ask you some ridiculous question.
He ain't got time for that.
Ain't got time for it. Yeah. Terry Tate, unleash the beast. So that's an app you can check out if you're like really struggling with self-control. It's literally called SelfControl. Another one I want to hit you with in terms of time management is it's around the idea of email. It's crazy. There was I don't know if you saw this, bro. There was a study done that said the average employee just across, every type of field of work that utilizes email as a primary form of communication, okay, which is the vast majority of corporations in our country.
Sure.
But the average employee spends 28% of their work week on email.
Wow.
20%, which is the equivalent to roughly 11 hours of your week.
Right. Just
burned up, reading emails, answering emails, trying to filter through all that kind of jazz. And it can be tough, especially in ministry, because you get tons of messages from staff, volunteers, church members, you get family, friends, you get subscriptions. It's the amount of email that we can deal with is insane. And I'm not trying to like email shame you right now, bro, but could you give me a count? Like, how many unread emails would you say are in your inbox right now? Do you have that little red notification icon?
I can tell you right now. So currently I have in my direct email inbox, I've got 18 unread messages, and in my admin, which is like the catch-all for that kind of stuff of subscriptions and that kind of stuff, like 300.
Okay. So
but I only deal with that admin mailbox maybe once a week.
Okay. But that's kind of the catch-all. But for you, if somebody wants to message you directly, which if you want to give out your email address here so people can do that, that'd be great. and feel free. Greg loves to be signed up for
just about everything.
For everything. So just insurance quotes, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Bring them
But
on.
you have 18 unread messages.
Correct.
That's baller, dude. That is baller. Okay. I'm currently sitting at in my mike.woodymore@gmail. I don't care. I'll share it. I don't care. 32,000.
Wow, bro.
32,408.
How does that even show up on your phone?
I'm telling you, that's got to be why my battery's just struggling. It's 32,000.
How big is the icon?
It's the entire size of the phone. It's just I have one phone for email, and then I have another phone I make all my calls and do all my work from. I carry two phones. It's insane. I'm telling you, I feel bad, but it became that email address that I started using for everything, and then I just got on every subscription list on the planet, and I tried so hard to fight it by deleting and cleaning it up, and I'm down to 32,408. Oh, 409. I just refreshed. So current email account. Maybe that'll be a thing we come back to. Just Mike's current email account until I literally crash Google. But yeah, so
there was another one.
There was another one just came through. Yeah, yep, it sure was. 410. All right, I'm done. So those are that's a reality for all of us, is the email thing. So let me tell you about this cool resource that I came across. I'm going to implement, and I think everyone should implement except Greg, because he's a baller at this. It's called unenroll.me. And so this allows you to not burn relational bridges, because you're not responding to someone's email because you can't find it. Unenroll.me lets you clean up your inbox, and it lets you kind of take control of the number of emails that you receive. So it sounds really, really cool, and I'm going to check it out. So those are three from a time management perspective that I would recommend. Now, before I move on, Greg, what do you like? What are some resources that you like to use? You just pen and paper kind of guy, checklist, notepad, stickies?
So it kind of depends on the day. And whether or not it's just an immediate thing of I'm going to get this knocked out. If it is, then yeah, I'm just going to scratch it out on a piece of paper and
Sure.
stick it on my desk and get after it. If it's more than that, I use either to-do list
Yeah.
for Windows, for Microsoft, or I use, and I think we're going to kind of move into this next, but it does the same. It helps with this as well, is Asana, which is a task
Yeah.
and project management.
Yeah.
And so I use that a good bit to help with time management. And so that's usually the way that I go about it.
That's cool, man. Cause that kind of segues. I wanted to talk about project management, and at Simplify Church, we're big on project management. And so we use Asana for stuff for the podcast. And also we use BaseCamp, and BaseCamp is really cool. It's where we store all of our collateral, all of our assets. It's where we create all these, like, you can have little campfires to create conversations. And then you can assign projects, and you can like assign a workflow, and you can track that. So you're not always like having to follow up like, hey, do you have that project done? Do you have that ready? No, I can just look, which is really, really cool. It cuts down on meetings, dude, which is great. So if you're in ministry and you're like, I'm meetinged out, like, I encourage you, if you're in a spot where you can change the culture of this, check out Asana, check out BaseCamp. And I think those are game changers. So those are huge.
I don't know if BaseCamp does it or not, but I know Asana does, for nonprofits, 50% discount.
Yeah.
On your subscriptions. So that's huge when it comes to stuff like that. We're just on the front side of implementing Asana, but really helpful in a lot of ways. Even for the stuff that just happens every week.
Yeah.
Of, hey, I've got everything in it, from did I plan the order of service? Did stuff get loaded in computers? Did graphics packs get made? Did emails go out? Like, all of that stuff is,
wow, that's really good
there. So that things don't fall through the cracks. And so I kind of know, okay, well, here's still what I have left to do for the week. Here are things that, can that be pushed back for next week? And then of course your bigger projects, hey, all of 2023, 24 church calendar stuff needs to be done. Okay, well, let's start plugging it in and figuring it out. And they can handle that. And that's super helpful.
Check it out, gang. Those are really solid resources for time management, which I know it can be tough, especially when you're in a lead seat and you've got multiple ministries to oversee, culture, DNA kind of stuff. I want to talk a little bit about from kind of my passion, sermon prep, sermon writing, and there's no shortage of resources that are out there. It seems like everyone's got an angle or some little help or hook to kind of make the sermon side of things. But a couple of resources that I found to be really cool, especially from a collaborative standpoint. One is Evernote. I know there's other things that are out there, but I'm a fan of Evernote. I've used it for a long time. It's great because of how manipulative it can be, how intuitive it can be. And so you can almost use it like a digital brain. You can put so much in there. You can toggle between desktop and mobile. You can organize everything, create task lists. You can archive documents. I don't know. I just think it's really cool because if you have stuff for sermon notes, you have conference notes, you have things you heard over here, you want to put a clip, you want to take a picture of something and add it in. I don't know. I just think it's really cool. You guys use Evernote at all?
So our lead pastor uses Evernote.
Yeah.
I used Evernote for a while, and then a few years back, I switched to GoodNote and Goodreader in place of it, and I like those better just because of some of the features, at least at the time, that Evernote didn't have.
Sure.
I preach and teach from Goodreader because I like that I can tap to turn pages instead of scrolling.
Oh, that's cool.
And Evernote may allow for that now, but a few years ago it did not. And so I don't get lost. If I scroll, I get lost in my notes because I'm a manuscript guy.
Yeah.
But if I can just tap the screen and it turns the page, then I don't have that trouble.
That's super cool. Yeah.
And so I've gone that route, but they are very similar. And price point is about the same, I think, as far as that initial kind of buy-in, either for storage or for the app, relatively minimal.
And that's GoodNote and Goodreader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And that's like desktop and mobile app kind of vibe, iPad app.
I think it's just for the iPad.
Okay.
But at least that's the only way that I use it. But it does easily interface with like OneDrive.
Oh, that's good.
Or several other things that do make it where you can easily transfer materials.
That's cool. In the same category with sermon stuff, check out those apps. Also, I don't know. I feel like everybody knows about this, but I don't know. Maybe you're listening and you're like, oh, I've never heard of that. Logos Bible software. Like it's killer. I mean, it's so packed full of resources, commentaries, language tools. It's really, really cool. And I'll be honest, it is a pretty hefty investment.
Yeah.
But to me, from a church's perspective, the preaching and teaching of God's word rightly is one of the most, some would argue, if not the most important thing we do. So being able to like be super clear about that and concise and accurate, it's worth the investment. And I think your pastor will be very grateful for that. And so just, looking at different price points and stuff like that. But there's there's kind of free versions you can use that have some really limited options, but the overall stuff. Do you guys use Logos there at church?
I do. Now I'm the middle of the road user.
Yeah.
Because I'm not preaching and teaching every week anymore. And so I have, I think, like what used to be gold, but now is like bronze.
Sure.
In their scale. But you're right. Super helpful. One of the things that I love about it, again, because I'm a manuscript guy, I love that you can cut and paste and it brings with it all of the footnoting.
Oh yeah.
To make sure that you have all your sources cited properly. Again, not that I actually am going to use that in preaching, but just to be able to say, hey, I did the work and it's right. It's attributed in my material that says, hey, I got this from so-and-so and it's on this page. And instead of having to do all that by hand.
Yeah.
So that's a game changer. And I know a lot of guys love their sermon prep.
Yep.
Like planner that lets you schedule out and begin to work and put all the pieces together
it's huge.
Yeah.
That's a great resource. And I like that the footnoting is good too. And I think that'll be helpful when you publish your book. That'll be nice. Sure. So all the work's already done. So that'll be really cool. I can't wait to read that. Greg's writing a book on how to be better than everybody else. So you got to check it out. It's a great book. I've already read some of the initial stuff.
Subtitle, you wish you could be me.
Okay. That was so good. I wasn't sure if you were going to take the bait on the joke, if you were just going to look at me with just pure disgust. Like, how dare you?
What was that guy's name in the XFL? He hate me.
He hate me?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think that was the guy's name on his jersey was he hate me.
They hate me because they ain't me.
That's right.
That might have been his full name, full legal name.
Might have been.
Gosh, man. But another really cool sermon prep, sermon writing app and resource I'm going to talk about is called Sermonary. Sermonary is cool. It's a sermon editor. You can put, work. You can kind of work like block by block, developing your message. And it's a huge step up from like Word or Google Docs. It's a huge step up. And so what's really cool is when your message is done, you can switch to a podium mode and you can preach like from your favorite tablet or device. So that's just another resource there. And it's got a built-in clock overlay. I don't know if that matters to you, preacher, as you're listening. Yeah, I know someone on your team's telling you it should matter.
This is my favorite move, where the preacher takes his watch off and puts it on the pulpit, like that matters.
Yeah, like it matters. I don't see him using it as a resource. I see him sending a message.
That's right.
When he takes it off, he's like, "I'm taking my watch off. You should just go and take yours off too."
That's right. Hope you brought your sack lunch.
Yeah, we finna be here a minute. I love it, man. It's so good. But it does have the clock overlay. If you decide to care about people's schedules, you can utilize that feature. But I love that podium mode, which is really neat. And it comes with a cool library of a bunch of free paid commentaries, sermon illustrations, sermon series, that kind of stuff. And so it lets you kind of write your sermons with like a little more intentionality and hopefully maybe take less time. I want to just kind of switching gears. I want to talk about finances for a second, and I'm just going to do a real quick shameless plug. Simplified Church. This is what we do. This is our bread and butter, and we are good at this. I'm going to toot our own little horn here. And so, Greg, can I get a horn toot sound effect? Do we have that button? Nothing.
It's broken today.
It's broken. I saw you reach for it. It wasn't there.
We still need the cash for the sound effects.
I would love that. So just in your mind, you heard an awesome horn toot. But I love what Simplify does to handle accounting and bookkeeping for your church. And it's so much more than that. It's, reconciliations. It's ensuring that every dollar has a name. It's helping you do the budget properly so that you're stewarding your church's resources really well. We have check writing resources to ensure vendors are being paid and folks are being reimbursed for different things at times. All of your taxes are being paid, like all the stuff that you've got to, your payroll. We handle, which is really cool. We can handle like your giving platforms with Simplify Give. So, which is generally cheaper than a lot of other companies that are out there. It's a very full scale, very integrated, very well thought out, system that's designed to make stewarding your church's resources, a whole lot simpler and to help you promote generosity in your church. So I'm a big fan, obviously. What's that old Rogaine commercial, that guy where he was like, I'm not only the president, but I was also a customer, I've used Simplify Church. I used it for a very long time and loved what they provided. And, thoughts on Simplify, finances and bookkeeping there, Greg? Like, am I overstating this?
No.
Am I overly biased?
Well, maybe, but maybe. No.
Everyone else is terrible. They'll ruin you. Only use us.
We use Simplify Church at our place. It has really been helpful.
Yeah.
And really brought down the time investment internally for our bookkeeping and financial reporting. And so money well spent, been super helpful. And was a switch that we've gladly made and would gladly make again.
Yeah. Obviously there's other resources out there, other places that are doing it. And, but I feel like we do it the best. So, no shade on them, but we're better. So check out simplifiedchurch.com if you want, to get a demo call and you can get all your questions answered, which is, really cool. Let's talk about health, Greg. Let's talk about getting healthy. Are you a Fitbit guy? Do you use Fitbit or Apple Watch or anything?
I do wear an Apple Watch. I don't do a whole lot with it, as far as like, I used to be really good about, I need to close my rings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore. You don't even care. Like the ring stopped showing up for Greg. He don't even care. I'm just trying to get a ring. One ring on the Apple Watch. I love my Fitbit. I've been on this path of trying to get healthy, and I'm on my feet most of the day, and so like that step goal is huge. So I just say all that to say, like, get a fitness tracker. Like, it's good for you. In ministry at times, like we can have days that are very sedentary. Like
sure. Meetings,
you're sitting around. You go to a lot of lunch meetings, breakfast meetings, coffee meetings. Late night meetings. You're just sitting. So I don't know, like getting a health tracker. And a fitness tracker and a step counter, that kind of stuff can be really cool. But But one of the things I like about health, and my Fitbit does this, and I'm sure the Apple Watch has a feature, but this is super in depth. It's called Sleep Cycle. And so like this has been like a super, I don't know, like a weird fascination of mine lately, but it's like tracking your rest and like how interrupted it is and how often do you snore and how restless are you. And Sleep Cycle, it basically analyzes kind of like your sleep pattern, how well you're resting. They even uses a feature like with an alarm clock to kind of wake you up gradually, which can help make you feel more refreshed. My alarm clock sounds like there's an emergency and that someone's here, because that's the only way I wake up. But I don't know. It's kind of a cool little feature.
Do they have parent of toddler mode?
Yeah, they really should.
Like,
Just a small man hops out and hands your kid an iPad and says, "Go back to bed."
Yeah. I mean, something. Well, I mean, like even there should be some kind of like a multiplier. For like if you get at least 4 hours of uninterrupted sleep, if you have children under the age of 5, then like that should like equal like 8 hours uninterrupted if you have teenagers or
oh my gosh,
no children.
Yes. Oh, that would be so great. I think we're on to something here. So again, the Simplify family, it continues to grow with fantastic resources for you and your ministry. But I love that idea, man. It's great. But I'm telling you, it's crazy. Like I have a good friend of mine, Mike, who's going to be coming on the show here in a couple weeks. But he took a screenshot of his Fitbit activity and was talking about how like in his like his sleep cycle, he had 6 hours of sleep, and it kind of broke it down. It tells you like how many times were interrupted, how many times versus restless. And he was restless 18 times. And he was like, gee, I can't imagine why. Maybe it's because my 4-year-old came in because he had a bad dream and got into bed. And it like interrupted his sleep and made him restless 18 times. That's insane.
That knee in my back.
Yeah. The knee in your back. And like kids, they like you could watch a kid sleep on the edge of a couch and nothing happened. They lay like stiff boards, but you put them in bed with you at night because they had a bad dream and they're flailing around like they're like lost at sea, right. Like just smacking you in the face. So there's some cool health apps. Greg, do you got anything on the health side that you like to do? Anything that like you're passionate about? MyFitnessPal, anything like that you use?
No, I should be, but I mean, you don't look like this. If you're too much into the My Health kind of
right
kind of apps, like mine is just, oh, you're alive.
Great. At the end of the day, you survived. Hey man, this is great.
Your heart is still beating. You're still breathing.
I love that.
Win.
I love that. It's called low bar fitness.
That's right.
It's just what's the lowest bar I can set. So I woke up again. This is good. Yeah, that's so funny, man. I love using some of these resources like track your calories, like MyFitnessPal and some of these other things, but it's easy to get like crazy with it. So I don't know, just don't go crazy with that stuff, but there are some really cool resources out there. And I think last but not least, I want to talk about just some personal resources that this aren't like necessarily ministry related, but it's just every once in a while you kind of come across something and you're like, dang, that's super cool. On my list is a resource called LastPass, LastPass. LastPass is really cool. It's a way to like in a secure fashion manage your passwords, and so that you can kind of keep track of everything, especially if you have to log into a ton of different accounts, right? So it's one place to store all those. Because I don't know about you, but I mean, I'm constantly forgetting a password, having to reset it. I lose this password, or I accidentally click the autofill, the auto populate, choose the strong password, which no one could ever crack.
That's right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even see it. I don't even know where to find it. So I think it's a really cool resource. LastPass puts it all in one spot, so you have access to it, so that if you forget a password, you can get to it again. Greg, on your list, any other resources that we missed? Any other things that you love that people need to know about?
Yeah. So just a couple of things that are a little more on the creative side.
There we go.
Canva.
Oh, I love Canva.
Has been a game changer for lots and lots of folks. Again, from the ministry side, if you're not using it, you should be.
Yep.
Okay. Everybody likes to say, hey, it's a Photoshop replacement. It is not.
It's not.
But it is a wonderful resource that allows for you to do a whole lot of creative designing things at a great speed. The learning curve is low.
Yep.
And turnaround on projects is usually pretty quick. As far as you can get things done, and it's super collaborative. It's easy to set up teams. And then there again, for nonprofits, you can get a free pro account through Canva for your nonprofit by simply filling out a little bit of paperwork. And so it's been wonderful. So I would encourage you, if you're not using Canva already, begin doing that, because that's just a great resource. Use it every day almost for something. So
solid. That's a good one, man.
And then this one kind of is the gap bridge for creatives and also like personal spiritual development kind of thing. Over the last several months, I've jumped into using the Worship Initiative.
Oh, okay.
So it's Shane and Shane.
Yeah, those guys are great.
And their crew do a lot of not only training for, hey, here's how you play these songs. Here's how they go. Here's how to learn them. Here's the story behind the song. Here's a devotional thought that goes with the song. Here's some scripture verses that fit this song. So super helpful in the worship planning side. But then they also have an app that's called Daily Devo. That's a free download. But it's just a devotional that you can listen to. It's an audio devotion that you can choose to listen to with or without like a backing track. So I don't do it every day, but it's a nice change of pace for some of that. But Worship Initiative has been super helpful, and I think it's like $10 a month for a user if you want to have all of the access to their trainings and all the other stuff. But again, if you sit in the worship leader chair or you want to bless your worship leader, that might be a good resource to dive into.
That's great, man. That's a really cool resource. I love that stuff. You just never know. Like some people just use the Bible app, but sometimes it's cool to have other things. And so, yeah, these are just some simple resources to put in your hands that we feel like every pastor needs to be aware of. Maybe you already know about all these. Maybe you didn't know about all of them, but hopefully you had a little bit of fun along the way and learning about some of these. And we'd love to hear about maybe some of the resources you love. So email us, man, shoot us over, drop a post on our Facebook page. We'd love to hear about whatever resources that you're digging, so we can continue to share with the larger group of pastors and leaders that we're resourcing. But hopefully this has been a blessing to you. Hopefully this will put a little more wind in your sails as you're thinking about how to, just be more effective at the ministry and the calling that God has placed on your life. So thanks for hanging out with us, gang. And don't forget, head over to our website if you want more information about simplifiedchurch.com, and we'll see you real soon.